What's good, everybody? I'm Keandre, this is Hoop Intellect, and welcome back to the channel. Now, as you can tell by the title of the video, and it's probably the thing that everybody is still talking about at this point, we're talking about the matchup between Scoot Henderson and Victor Wembanyama on Tuesday night. It lived up to the hype. I just kind of wanted to give a stream of consciousness before we get into a little bit more in depth of what we saw from the both of them and some of the other prospects in the game. But I don't think that anybody could have really convinced me that in the same game we would have, Victor Wembanyama going for nearly 40 points, having 7 threes, 5 blocks, doing the things that he was doing out there on the court. And also in the same game we would have Scoot going for nearly 30 and 10, creating a good look on almost every single possession, working on the three-point shot, hitting the mid-range, playing better defense, and both of them showing the competitive fire and making big plays down the stretch. Like, it's the best prospect matchup that I've seen. I think it's going to continue to be the best prospect matchup that we've seen for a very long time, unless they outdo it themselves on Thursday. Some of the most fun that I've had watching basketball in a minute. So shout out to everybody who kind of had a hand in making this a possibility, because the basketball world is better for it. Both of these guys are true competitors. They made big plays down the stretch of the game, and you got to applaud them for it, on top of them also being elite talents, guys that would be the #1 pick in a lot of years. But yeah, that's all I really have to say to kind of start this one off. Let's go ahead and get into it. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoy the video. Definitely subscribe if you are new around here. We've got plenty of other draft stuff coming soon, other NBA stuff and breakdowns. So let's go ahead and get into it. Starting with Victor Wembanyama, he had a solid first half, but was definitely outshined by Scoot. However, he really turned it on in the second, and one of those spots was as a three-point shooter. I'm stating the obvious, but being as fluid a mover and being able to shoot on the move with such grace just doesn't make any sense at all at that size. Like, who is hitting pull-ups out of the pick and roll like this, or comfortably getting into shots this easy? The man hit 7 threes, he got fouled on a few more, and he hit them when his team needed him the most as well. It was a true experience to watch, and about halfway through it, I started thinking about what all of this looks like when he's like 25, and it low-key broke my brain. Getting into some of the other offense he showed, Tremont Waters had 9 turnovers. I don't think Wemby was particularly set up for success very well. He did make an impact with the gravity that he has as a role man, but he didn't get a ton of easy opportunities you expect for a big man, and that's partially credit to the Ignite. But he did show off some of his high upside from the mid post. He had one possession towards the end where he demanded the ball and got a bucket when they were trying to make a late run. The way he palms this and just adjusts midair is really something special. And then how could you forget him walking the ball up the court looking like an oversized KD en route to the tough bucket earlier in this game. Now, on the other side of the ball, he was a menace as usual. They had him down for just 5 blocks on the game, but between a goaltend or two that was questionable and the amount of shots and times he made guys think twice, he was big time in this area throughout the game. He was a definite presence in the paint, and he's such an exciting prospect in other ways. It can be easy to forget just how good of a rim protector he is and can be. And he also showed off more of his versatility in contesting shots out on the perimeter and actually blocking and changing a few Scoot attempts. Now, I do think he can still get better in terms of pick and roll positioning. He got caught up a few times and it led to him being in rough positions that led to fouls. And then on the offensive end, there were times where, the game will be worlds easier when he can add some more strength and is able to convert more often in the post. But those two things were pretty irrelevant in the big picture of what was an absolutely special performance and one of the best that I've ever seen, finishing with 37 points, 4 rebounds, 5 blocks, and hitting 7 threes. Now, moving on to Scoot, he was absolutely tremendous as well, but especially in that first half. He was doing it all, putting on a show, and he really took control of the game in a big way, and they got out to that big lead. He had 18 points in that first and made a clear concerted effort to score the basketball among everything else. But I think the thing that stood out most from him was just the consistent advantage creation that he had. Whether it resulted in a made basket from him or from his teammates, he was getting a good look on most possessions every single time he touched the ball. He used that unbelievable first step, of course. He's got great pace and vision to find his teammates, and it happened enough times for them to come out on top to keep it extra simple. And this play in the pick and roll is going to be one of those ones that you definitely remember. Just looking at the instincts to handle the ball and keep it away from Waters, you know, where he takes off to finish and using the inside hand over the guy with the 8-foot wingspan. It's just a special play, and you know we'll be seeing more of that throughout the year.
Though, going around the
it's clear he's been working on his three-point shot, which was one of his few true improvement areas from last year. And I love seeing him go at Wemby on an island, especially right after he has scored on the other end. He had to get that shot off super quick and managed to do it. And then you have the pull-up three in transition to kind of help keep the distance late in the game as well. He got 2 and converted from the mid-range whenever he wanted. That's going to be a staple of his for like the next 15 years. And just overall offensively, he was spectacular, can't say it enough. That combination of athletic tools and skill level is sky high. I thought his defensive effort was pretty good, you know. He was definitely up for the challenge of the night and came up with some big plays off the ball. He got some steals and contained a pretty tough cover in Tremont Waters in some big moments. Now, he still had some issues with navigating screens and was caught out of position a few times, but again, this is just a small piece in nitpicking from what was another just beautiful performance. I love seeing his competitive fire. He knew he was the kind of number 2 or 1B guy coming into the game and approached it as such, and though that's not tangible, that means something to me. Whatever conversation you want to put him in terms of point guard prospects, he's absolutely deserving, and he made that abundantly clear last night. The rest of the prospects in this game, besides maybe one, didn't particularly stand out in any real way, which is fine. There's too many games to be played and stuff to look back at to go too hard in one direction right now. I thought Leonard Miller had a pretty underwhelming showing, 4 for 15 from the floor. Again, it's just one game, and after watching the combine, you knew it was going to take some time, but he looked super hesitant to shoot. To add to it, he never really got to handle the ball other than doing some playmaking from the elbow. He did still have some flashes as a 6'10 guy who can attack and make something happen off the bounce and make things happen defensively as well, but we'll see how he looks the rest of the year before we kind of take big steps away from where we think he can be. Sidi Sissoko had some really nice moments, especially defensively. He came out with a big time block to start, but also he really didn't find a spot offensively to make his own in this game. Some of the shots he took were kind of questionable. He hit a nice step back in there, but you know, it's all a learning process. I do still think he has first round potential as this oversized guard / wing, but I'm still curious to see how his role grows and changes when they get more time out there together. Now, F.A. Abogidi out of Washington State was actually a pretty good performer. I really liked what he did, you know, the energy that he brought and the effort on both ends of the floor. He had a few really nice dunks showing off his high level explosiveness. He made Wemby pay in the pick and roll a few times down the stretch, including a 15-foot jumper, which I like to see, and he also got a deflection in the post in that same stretch. I think he was probably the biggest winner of the night overall. If he can continue to be active with everything else, I think he's definitely on a path to hearing his name called in June. And then you've got Mojave King out of Australia. I thought he looked pretty good in his limited minutes. He converted on some threes, he attacked a couple closeouts, came off some curls, and made a few big plays defensively. If you followed the channel, you know we mentioned him a few years ago when him and Giddey started in the NBL. Things didn't go as we initially thought, but he's looking like he might be a solid option on the wing who might get his way into the second round this season. So I'm excited to see what he does. Now to a few other takeaways before we finish this one off. I thought Hugo Besson looked pretty good. He hit a lot of shots when his team really needed it and kept them afloat. They might have got blown out otherwise, and his stock probably would have skyrocketed had he not already been drafted this year. But it's always fun to get to see someone like him when you're watching for Victor, and maybe he turns into something for the Bucks at some point. And then the Ignite as a whole has a roster that should be pretty competitive in the G League this season. They are now playing a full 50-game schedule, and with that, they brought in more than just teaching vets. You know, vets like John Jenkins who are still searching for jobs and capable of playing at a pretty high level. And they have skill sets that really complement the young guys. No disrespect to Jarrett Jack and Amir Johnson, but I think that'll really help, especially in those practice and training camp situations, and probably result in a little more success this year. I appreciate y'all for watching this video. Once again, if you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new around here, and comment down below what you think of both Scoot and Wemby and their NBA futures and everything like that. But that's all I have. I'm Keandre. This is Hoop Intellect. Until next time, I'm out.
I need my
up front, no ifs, ands, or buts. Tap in if you really bout it. I can be your motivation, I can be the one you call at the late nights on the grind.